Yo, what's going on guys? Havoc here and I'm back. Today we're going to be going over 9 starter tips for Warcraft Rumble, and today's video is sponsored by Blizzard Entertainment. You guys already know I love doing these. I mean, I suck at games. Might as well be a professional noob. I don't even know what that means. What I do know though is what this game is about. So before we get into these juicy tips, I wanted to quickly give you a rundown of what kind of gameplay to expect. Warcraft Rumble is a mobile action strategy game set within the Warcraft universe. Yes, that one. Here, you collect over 60 leaders and units, upgrade them, and take them to battle against various bosses in the single-player campaign, which by the way has over 70 missions. Then there's PvP and more, like dungeons, epic raids, and challenges. I gotta say, it's pretty easy to get into, but hard to master. Sounds like a challenge to me, am I right? And if you're familiar with Warcraft, it feels very authentic to the franchise. There's tons of references and moments that make you go, oh, I know that one. That's that one dude. Anyways, the tutorial goes pretty in-depth. You should learn all you need to know. However, there are some things that I learned by just playing, and I wanted to share a few things that can help you get started on the right track. Number 1. Have at least one unbound unit in every deck. Unbound units are basically units that can be placed anywhere in the map instead of only at towers and meeting stones like every other non-spell unit. You can tell if a unit is unbound by simply heading to its stats and it will say unbound. The reason I think it's essential to bring one is because you can use them to help you in many situations. For example, getting treasures, distracting enemies, getting that last bit of damage on the boss. One of my favorite unbound units has easily become the Earth Elemental. Even though it cannot get treasures for you, it's a nice tank that I can place in front of any push to help get towers or defeat bosses. It's very nice to have. Another really good unit that is unbound is the Safe Pilot, and this is a pretty safe option. If I recall correctly, this is one of the units you get right out of the gate. It will essentially crash a plane anywhere, dealing some pretty decent damage, and then the pilot carries on as a ranged unit. This one can get treasures, however the unit that it spawns does not have much health, so just keep that in mind. Next time, try and see if a troop you already have is unbound. Maybe you already have some and don't use them. Number 2. Get that gold. Gold is required to spawn units in a match, so it's very crucial to get it, right? If you don't have enough, you might not be able to win or defend yourself, and that's why it's really important to remember to collect gold around the map, but also try to prevent your opponent from getting gold as well. It may be pretty obvious, but the best and cheapest way is to look for gold and drop your Kobold miner on it. They're built for the job, literally. And they only cost 1 gold. Sometimes you may need to drop a unit with them to assist them to get that gold. Don't be afraid to do so. Sometimes I do this. It may seem counterintuitive, but trust me, it helps. In terms of preventing your opponent from doing the same thing, you can take out their Kobold miner with spells, unbound units, or even all of your other troops if they're not far from it. Now, if you get caught up doing something else like pushing a lane or defending and you forgot, don't sweat it, it's not the end of the world. But generally, you want to aim for it every time. Eventually, it becomes something you just do, and that's a good habit to have. Number 3. Grind quests. Quests are a very good way to get EXP for your units and level them up. At the bottom, you have 3 options which do cycle after every match and lets you know if it will level up after, which is pretty neat. Takes all the guesswork out of it. You don't gotta sit here doing math. And at the top, you see how much your reward will be. It's a pretty fun thing to grind and relax if you want to break from PvP or you're stuck in a really tedious campaign match. Just grind some quests. Now, one thing that I didn't know is that these quests can give even more rewards sometimes. I mean, I would have known if I just had 2 pairs of eyeballs, but apparently I don't. When the button is green, you get the normal amount of EXP. When it's blue, it's 3x, and when it's purple, it's 5x. So keep an eye out for that. You definitely don't want to miss it. You can get tons of EXP by simply grinding these out. It's hella fun. Number 4. Don't ignore surges. Eventually, after playing for a bit, you'll get a pop-up about arc light surges, and this is where you're gonna make some serious bank. Going back to do surges in maps you already beat is a massive moneymaker. I mean, seriously. The surges happen every few days. It'll pick a random map that you already beat, and you can go back in and beat those bosses again for tons of gold. Now, normally going back and defeating old bosses does not give you any gold, so that's why this is so special. You gotta take advantage of the event. That way you can buy tons of stuff at the shop, like new minis or level them up. The only differences you need to be aware of is that during surge events, towers and meeting stones are upgraded, so it'll be slightly more difficult, and sometimes there are modifiers like double gold, for example. However, it's not impossible or anything. I found it rather easy and fun to defeat those bosses a second time. So for me, this has been the easiest way to progress faster. Number 5. Split lanes. I feel like if you play enough of the game, this will become a pretty obvious thing, but if you just started, maybe you need a reminder. Splitting lanes can make or break a match. Personally, I like to split my pushes every now and then, depending on the base and what kind of abilities the boss has. Recently, I experienced this in one of the maps where one of the bosses was doing too much splash damage, and I found that going from one side wasn't very effective. My push was getting shut down. Now, the simple and easy way that I found out is just split the lane. And sometimes you don't even need to split your push, just bring a unbound tank. Then you can deploy that unbound tank right before the boss targets your main push. This can be very effective, and it's one of the easiest hacks that I found. Well, I guess it's not really a hack. See, told you I'm a noob. Number 6. Collection level. By unlocking new units and upgrading their rarity, your collection level increases, which you can find in your profile. Now, this is important if you're trying to level up, because if you look here, collection level benefits, it's basically passive EXP that you get for doing nothing. For every new unit, I get a bonus of 36 EXP. Simply doing quests gives me 9. I mean, it's free. Now, something that I've noticed is that at the start of the game where I'm at, you most likely will not be upgrading rarities yet. So what I did is just stick to unlocking new minis from the grid, or the GIRID, you know what I'm saying? And that's by far the easiest way I found to level up your collection level. Number 7, pausing. If you happen to forget what things do on the map or completely forget to take a minute to scout, you may be happy to know that you can actually pause the game and read. Yes, by pausing, it will allow you to scout the match once again, temporarily. Well, as long as you're paused. This is super helpful if you're in a battle but don't want to end it just to read descriptions. Sometimes I'm not doing so hot and wonder if I'm missing any abilities that the boss did. Is he doing something that I wasn't aware of? Is that why I suck? Yeah, all I have to do is pause the game and take a minute to absorb the information. Now that we're on the topic of sort of hidden features that you may have not known of, you can also double tap to equip a mini. This also works for swapping. Just a quick shortcut that I had no idea you can do. It's slightly faster than having to click on the mini and tapping equipped or swap. Number 8, army variety. I think it goes without saying, but if you have an entire deck composed of melee units, it may work, but you also run the risk of having to face air units and not being able to attack them or defend yourself. It's recommended to have a good mix of melee, ranged, and flying troops in your deck. And sometimes, depending on your deck, a spell may be useful as well. With all these boxes checked, you'll be prepared for just about anything. And in the field, a good rule to follow when deploying them is melee first and then ranged and flying behind them, so that the melee units absorb incoming damage. And the heavy hitters, like a mage behind your push, will do some pretty good damage. It's pretty easy stuff. Eventually, the best order of deployment becomes second nature. You just get used to it. Number 9, the grid. This last section is about navigating the grid and what everything does. As the tutorial explains, this is where you buy units or heroes, either existing or new ones. I recommend you to tap on all of them and see what they do, read the description, and look at their stats. That's the best way to choose if you're looking to unlock something. You may encounter some that have a star, which is used to upgrade that card's rarity. So for example, from common to uncommon, you need 3 stars. You may also see something called XP XP boost. You'll see these every now and then, and basically it will give you XP boost to anything purchased in that row or column, which is amazing. And even if a card you want to buy isn't in that row or column of the boost, you can move cards around the grid so that they are. Just tap the move button. And finally, recycling the grid. There is a button at the bottom here to do so. It basically draws a new set of cards that you can purchase. Pretty self-explanatory. So guys, that wraps it up. Those are my top starter tips to help you newer players start off on the right foot, or even experienced players. I hope I showed you at least a thing or two. I wanted to once again thank you to Blizzard for sponsoring this entire video. If you guys want to check out the game, there will be a download link in the description. The link works for Android and iOS, and it is available for everyone right now. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching. Havoc Gaming out. Peace.